Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are right at the closing bell on Wednesday, November 10th. We're going to watch SoFi as we close out the day. Now, we'll quickly go in, and I'm hoping that the earnings report comes out as I'm on the video, since I can't do this as late as the earnings call, but I would at least share my thoughts as it comes out. So I have my phone pulled up here as well, that I'm looking for anything to pop up, depending on what happens. But obviously today, a lot of folks were heading for the hills. It bounced really close to this 1993 level that we had on the daily chart here, coming down as low as 1985. So not bad. After all of this crazy action, within 8 pennies of calling that bottom there on one of our support levels. Also, my computer is just really sucking at the moment, so I'm hoping it doesn't get too jittery here. But we fell through this purple box, which I don't love. Tested falling through this downtrend resistance level that we had broken on the weekly, and I don't love that either. But like I said yesterday and the day before and whatnot, at this point, the trend and the chart is what it is. And it's up to the reaction to earnings at this point, right? And I'm hoping that since we've had this big run up, since down here in the 14s, even in the 13s recently, coming up and testing over 23 just recently, that this pullback helps sort of kind of systemically rebuke any catastrophic drop that could be pursued based on the reaction to earnings. Obviously, last time we came down 14.15% the following day. And so, I mean, today, just during the trading day, we're putting in half of that, right? Even more than half of that drop. So we're now at the closing bell, so we'll kind of see what comes out. I did want to talk about this, which I actually read through relatively quickly, and, it is what it is. It's Yahoo publishing this from TipRanks, getting this from Oppenheimer analysts, but I actually thought that these were pretty solid figures to be looking at based on, my really blasé explanation the other day about sort of like what I'm looking for, with beating earnings, raising guidance, no unexpected one-offs like we saw in the last earnings, those one-off expenses that sort of skewed things. Nothing, just no surprises to the downside would be tremendously helpful, but they did a good job here of putting together what they're looking for. So they expect the company to deliver sales of $254 million. More importantly, he expects that SoFi will report a loss only half as big as what other analysts forecast, which would be really, really interesting and helpful. Only 7 cents per share, which would be tremendous. A company, now they're not the youngest company, obviously, but to be coming out with something that close to zero or break even per share, having just come to the public markets in the last quarter, that would be pretty phenomenal in my estimates. If he's right about that, the reaction from investors could be thunderously positive. I've been saying all along that even though we have had this run up, I'm expecting a positive reaction to this earnings. That's probably mostly just my bullish bias, to be honest, because if I'm going off of history, right, the only thing that we have was last quarter, which we had, like I just said, that big sell-off after earnings. But the one before that they released just before coming aboard via IPOE, there was really positive reaction to that. Now, I know that couldn't necessarily be reflected in the public market other than folks running up IPOE, which is it does still sort of create a weirdness, I think. That to me did seem like it was received relatively well, and that there was excitement based on what had come out in those I guess Q1 earnings at that point, whatever. But anyway, coming down here, talking about, he notes the personal savings rate in the U.S. has plummeted from nearly 34% back in April to just 7.5% last month. This reacceleration, says the analyst, implies robust consumer spending in the third quarter. And personal loans are expected to rise about 14% from last quarter's level, and student loans 10%. So, this sort of quantifies a bunch of the things that I was putting out there. The guidance will certainly be really important, I think. So we'll see, what happens here. I just kind of keep refreshing. Don't see anything yet. It's 4:04, but I might be missing it. I don't know if the news tab is still showing. Talk about Affirm and SoFi selling off. But getting back into this, turning earnings positive by 2023, so that's really soon, with $180 million in real GAAP net income. By 2024, the number should be more than double to $437 million, which those could be exciting times for sure. The users was the big thing that I have been, complaining about for a while. Certainly since last earnings, I was complaining about how slow I feel the user adoption or the effort to go out and really bring in a bunch of users is. And that's primarily just because I think that investors, maybe institutions as well, these days in SaaS products at a growth stage really place a high premium on capturing a lot of users. And I think that's understandable. There's sort of this whole idea of capture users now, get people using your thing, and then figure out how to monetize it later. I know this is a little different from that sort of earlier startup kind of mentality, but I do think that something like Robinhood, for example, I think they've been able to get the valuations that they have in a large part, not completely, but I don't think that it's not because of their high user base. I think that has helped them secure that a lot, and I think that it would do the same for SoFi. I just think that if they weren't talking about low single digits of millions of users, but they were talking about at least low double digits, 10, 11, 12 million users, I think that would be received really well and would be seen as a really good sign for, the people are here, and now we can let all this cross-selling that we're talking about and sort of like really amping up the lifetime value of those customers shine through. My 2 cents. As we're killing time here, waiting to see if these earnings will come out. But, we still are at 36.58% price change in the last 1 month. The shorts today, if we want to take a look, see if the shorts did anything, continued to close up shop, so dipping down in the sevens, so 7.38% as a short interest percentage of the free float per Ortex estimates. Utilization sitting under 20 at this point. Cost to borrow is under 1. Days to cover bumping up a little bit actually from 1.67 a week ago to 1.69 today. So, shorts didn't come pile in today, even though there was this crazy sell-off. And, if they thought that there was more meat on that bone, I would expect that they would have come in pretty heavy and tried to ride the red wave, if you will, downward. So nothing there. We can go back and look at the intraday while we wait and see if these earnings are going to come out while I have time to be doing this video. But yeah, this is I don't want to fixate on this, but I will. These levels are just holding up really well. I'll just say that. Tried to catch this 2132 right here, yeah, and then came in and blew through it, so it didn't have much holding power there, but we had dotted that because we thought it was a relatively weak support and resistance zone anyway. Made an attempt back at the view up, but we've seen this a million times at this point since we've been paying closer attention to the intraday movements. And, coming down this 2058, tried to catch there, but it did the same thing, right? It caught it once, threw it back up, and then it just fell through really quickly and easily on the next attempt. It did, though, make a brief valiant effort to say, wait, let me take that back. And it was like, no. And then came down and twice got caught by that 1993 and bounced off and headed into the abyss. No, headed into the aftermarket hours here. So that's how the day played out. But yeah, just to say, in a world where the VWAP's not helping because it's dropping so heavily, so quickly, these levels that are charted, even though they come from the daily, have played out relatively well on the intraday. We flipped to green there at the moment, barely green, but just keeps refreshing to see if anyone is posting anything. Let me flip over somewhere else and see if anyone has mentioned anything. I will also say, in the description below, for folks that are interested in trying to support the channel, there's a couple of ways. One way is to just go ahead and share these videos on StockTwits or Twitter, Reddit, wherever it is that you share stock info. That would be super helpful. And the other thing would be, sorry, I'm just keep looking at the refresh. Oh, okay, we're moving up. The other thing would be, okay, what's happening here? Okay, a firm beat their earnings. Some folks trying to jump in quickly because of firm beat earnings, or else I'm just not getting the news yet. Let's see. But the other way to support the channel, I have a Patreon that will be coming. Thanks for everyone who suggested, what to do on the Patreon. Okay, I like this movement. But I'm putting my Venmo in the description below as well. Wow. Okay. Undoing what was done today at the moment. So always love when that happens. You just sort of erase the day. It's just like, okay, we never needed this day to happen. But yeah, I put my Venmo in the description below for now in case anyone, that's just because folks have asked how they could support until the Patreon comes, or if they just feel like Patreon isn't their thing and they're happy with the YouTube videos but want to, do a little something extra. I was like, I don't know, I'll put my Venmo there. So if anyone's so inclined, that's in the description below. All right, let's see. I can't remember what happened last time when we were waiting for earnings to come out. I can't remember if it ran up and then just absolutely turned into a slaughterhouse, or if it just was a slaughterhouse from the beginning. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything yet. Dun, 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 dun. What's happening? I almost grabbed calls before close, but they were actually still felt so expensive that I just felt that the IV crush was going to annihilate them. Plus, I have long shares and I have leaps, and I have enough in SoFi at the moment. So it would have been something additional to do for funsies, but I thought, well, why just throw that money at the wall? Let's do something else. Come on. I don't know. Waiting. This has got to be a truly invigorating video. No, I don't know. I mean, by the time you're watching this, you all would know what has happened. So that is what it is. Yeah, okay, let me get my... I mean, it's crazy that just like these aren't... I guess like no one necessarily has the news yet, but folks just decided to sell off crazy today, and then folks that still don't know the outcome of earnings are jumping in and buying the dip to the tune of completely erasing all the losses that came today. It's just the psychology around these earnings is just crazy to me. I've said this in plenty of videos leading up to today, but I am just notoriously bad at understanding how people will react to earnings. You see plenty of times, good earnings come out and the stock gets slaughtered, and it's not for any obvious reason. It just is what the mass psychological reaction was. So this is equally as weird to me. Like I said, folks just were, fleeing all day today, and then still with no additional knowledge are deciding after hours to just run it up. Just so odd to me. I don't know what this little pushback is. Oh, okay. Okay. Did we get something? Okay, we got something, but I'm trying to read it here on my phone. I don't know if this is something old. I'm seeing 272K, 277K. Well, we are falling. I mean, if that comes in for sales, and I don't know if that's sales though. Oh, yeah. I have like an incomplete picture here on my phone. Let's see if I can get something better. Oh man, it's really falling like a rock at the moment. Okay. Oh man, it doesn't know what to do after hours. I'm making a big frowny face at the moment, but this is getting bought up pretty solidly here above this 2058 level. There's probably solid volume here in the after hours, so these levels might hold more consistently than they would in really thin trading volume after hours on typical days. What in the world is coming? I don't know. I see some folks posting that they beat on earnings and revenue. But I'm not getting anything here. Oh, what do we got? Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh, so they did better. So this person was saying 7 cents per share, report a loss of 7 cents. They went a loss of 5 cents, which is phenomenal. Okay. I don't know if this is going to be received well. Sales 277. 254. Okay. I'm hoping that we fly. This is really, really solid. I don't know what to make of this exactly. What accordingly beat consensus by, so they beat this by 64%. So 92.86% increase over the losses of 70 cents per share from the same period last year. Company reported quarterly sales 277 million, which beat the analyst estimate of 255 by 8.43%. All right. This is the only portion of it that makes me go, what's the explanation here? The same quarter last year. So, I would assume just the expenses that they're incurring at the moment are just so much more heavy. But hopefully there's just clear explanation to that in the earnings call, and that they don't tank it by having the earnings call. And then this really speaks volumes, and this is really tremendous. This is probably the most exciting portion to me, because getting that through zero is such a big sort of psychological thing, that for a growth stage company, like really freshly de-SPACed, to be getting this close to zero, and in the space that it's in, with the potential that it has, And with all of the runners that we've seen lately, I know Upstart got slaughtered, but like they had been on a killer run. Lending Club been going crazy. Square intermittently has been just on tears. You know, there's like the opportunity is there, and I'm hoping that some of these things really move the needle. But that 0.05 beating of 0.14, I mean, that's phenomenal. So I'm really, really happy with this on its face. Like I said, I'd like to know just what the explanation of that is. It's probably something pretty straightforward, but there's been some muddiness in the past in some of these things, and so hopefully it's not a murky, muddy thing, but we'll find out in the earnings call, which I'll have to speak to tomorrow's video. But my initial reaction, I'm very, very happy with this. I had every expectation, especially when they called in all of those warrants, when they redeemed all of those warrants. It just seemed to me to be relatively obvious. Plus that unusual whales tweet that we talked about with the $35 puts being sold for January. So it's just a couple months away. I guess the big sort of lingering thing would be what they say about the bank charter in the call. I don't know that they would announce it in the call. I tend to think not. I tend to think like this is what they're going to let do the work for today, and that they're going to follow on with the bank charter maybe before the end of the year or something like that, or in the coming months, and that's then going to provide just a secondary tailwind to hopefully some tailwinds that this creates. But that's pure speculation. I don't know. We'll see if they announce it on the call, but I would look more for them to like talk about how tremendous these numbers are, explain why this is what it is, and then basically talk about how smooth the bank charter process is going, and how easy it's been and invigorating it's been to work with regulators, however it is that they're going to frame it. Yeah, very, very cool. All right, I'm feeling good. I'm going to end the video here, and tomorrow we'll talk about this, plus how the chart looks tomorrow, and what comes out of the actual earnings call itself. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that they don't say anything that tanks it in the call, and go from there. But all right, I hope everyone is having an exciting after market hours today. I'm sure that you are, and I appreciate you watching as always, and I will see you in the next video.